am Chelsea, the designer and content creator behind Knitting Tipsy, and today, let's get some yarning done. Okay, y'all, today's video is something a little bit different. Kind of the same, kind of different. I have found that lately I have really been struggling with actually yarning during the time that I'm scheduling in my day for knitting and crocheting. Part of that is because I am getting lost in endless scrolling on my phone. Sometimes it is doom scrolling, which that is not good. But other times I might have an idea, like I'll be knitting and then an idea pops into my mind. So I get on my phone and I start like, oh, okay, like maybe this stitch. And I start writing, things down, and I just get caught up in going to different apps. Or I see a notification and then I'm like, oh, let me just check my Instagram real quick. Or an email comes through and then I'm on my phone emailing back. And that time that I'm supposed to be sitting there, whether it's selfish time to just enjoy my making or it's design time and I need to be working on something, I'm losing it. I'm losing it. And so I recently came across something that I was very confused about at first. And then I thought, well, this is silly. And then I actually tried it and I loved it. It's called body doubling. Body doubling can be done in person. It can be done virtually with someone, or you can do something like this and pop on a video of body doubling. And it's just a tool for accountability. It's someone doing a similar task as you that you can kind of make sure that you're staying on track. If you're doing it in person, you might actually have a person next to you. You're both doing your computer work or something else, and you can, if you see your friend getting on their phone, you get, hey, time to work. Or maybe you guys have an agreement, you're not actually gonna say anything, but it's just knowing the other person is doing their work that keeps you on track. It's the same for virtual. If you have a friend and you wanna say, hey, let's hop on, Google Meet or Zoom and do some body doubling work. I just really need to be able to focus and have someone keep me accountable. There you go. The first body doubling video that I actually saw on YouTube was for cleaning and decluttering, and I really struggle with that to stay focused. So putting it on my laptop while I was cleaning in a room and just seeing this person who was also cleaning and they were chatting and it was kind of keeping me engaged and I was able to do my things and laugh along with her. It was amazing. And now I find myself often looking up body doubling videos, or I look up yarnie podcasts that I can sit and listen to while someone is talking about yarn and I can knit and crochet. So I thought I'd give this a try and create a yarnie body doubling video with y'all. So here's what we're gonna do. I do have 3 projects with me. If you are a non-monogamous maker like me, grab a couple of them. This will be fun and it'll help you get through a few projects today. If you're a monogamous maker, that's totally okay. We are gonna do 3 rounds, because I have 3 projects, of 20 minutes on each project. So if you just have one, you can join me for an hour of yarning. And if you have multiple, we'll make a little headway on each one. I'm going to use my phone as a productivity timer. So let me get 20 minutes on my timer right now. 20 minutes. Okay, we haven't hit start yet. And if you need to, go ahead and find a cozy spot. You can grab some coffee like I do, or water, or tea, or wine. I'm filming here in the morning, so I am drinking coffee. Grab your projects, and when you're ready, we'll get started. Just kidding, one more thing. Before I forget, because I always end up getting comments, I just wanted to talk about what I am wearing. This is my Malibu Barbie bralette. It is one of my crochet designs. It's super comfy. This sample was made with Hobie cotton. Cotton or bamboo? Bamboo. Hobie bamboo. It's a little bit oversized. It's super comfy. I do have a bralette on underneath with it. My necklace is from Mermaid and Me. It's this beautiful little plumeria, and I've got these great witchy moon phase earrings from Fallen Pine. So I just wanted to put those out there because I know I'll forget if I don't do it now. Okay, grab your stuff. Let's do this. All right, I'm gonna tell you about my first project, and then we'll start the time. No, you know what? I'm gonna start the timer right now, so we'll get our stitches going because I can probably do it fairly quickly. Okay, ready? We're starting our productivity timer. 1 hour of yarning, 20 minutes on the clock. Here we go. Okay. So my first project here, this is my Tipsier tee. It is the knit version of my Tipsy tee design, which is a crochet t-shirt that is in testing right now and should be finishing up soon. I'm so excited for it. But like, look how pretty the lace stitching is. And this gorgeous colorway by Tropical Yarnie. This is Queen Conch. Makes me so happy to work on. Also, I do just want to mention all 3 of my projects today are knit. Usually I have, and I do have a crochet project. It's just not in a place that I think I could sit and talk to y'all while I'm doing it. I'm gonna tilt the camera down a little so you can see my yarn more. There we go. It's also better for the boobies. Of course, I think just when I start, somebody's gonna start up yard work. Go figure. Anyways, I'm really excited for this design. It's kind of been on hold while I'm working on some other projects, but hopefully I can get it into testing before the summer ends, and then this will be out in the fall. The Tipsy tee is wrapping up testing, so it should be out in just a few weeks, which is very exciting. All right, so let me get my little piece of paper here that has questions. And the first question, which I feel like is a really good one to start with, especially if you're new. Hi, if you're new here. It's when did I learn to crochet and knit? Was I in love with it right away? Was one harder than the other to learn? So, oh, looks like Rudy might join us. So I learned when I was really little. My great-grandma Kay, she was the original like maker. She knit, she crocheted, she spun, she had huge looms for weaving. She did everything. She was also a fixture at the Canfield Fair in Canfield, Ohio for over 50 years. She volunteered and did demonstrations in the sheep barn. And when she first started, she took her grandchildren, which would have been my mom and her siblings. She would take them to help out. There's a picture of my mom on my grandma's spinning wheel doing the demonstrations because my mom did learn to spin when she was little. She never kept up with it. She tells me now she wouldn't know what to do. But all of her grandchildren, she did teach to knit, crochet, and spin. None of them kept up with it. And then the great-grandchildren came, and Grammy Kay taught me and my brother to knit, crochet, spin, weave. My brother actually liked the loom for a while. She had the big floor-to-ceiling looms, but she also had little table looms, and I can remember my brother sitting there weaving on it, which was really cute. He's my older brother, and he's like big football guy. But that was really sweet. I loved it. I loved going to Canfield with her. We would dress up in old-timey clothes, you know, looking like we were on the Oregon Trail. And sit in the sheep barn and do demonstrations. In my hometown, Beaver County, Pennsylvania, there's also a festival, the Maple Syrup Festival. And we would go to that, and she would have a booth where she would sell a lot of her things that she made. She would make these little sheepies that were wrapped with wool and pipe cleaners, and they were so fucking cute. I loved them. And she also made beautiful cardigans and sweaters that she had to sell, and lots of little things too, like trinket bags and stuff. So I probably did those shows with her till I was 16 years old. But even then, like, I knew how to knit, I knew how to crochet. I would just make long strips of fabric because I was demonstrating, I was helping out. I never actually made anything. which boggles my mind. But I just liked hanging out with her, and I enjoyed, from a very young age, I was a process maker because I just enjoyed doing it and not really making anything. And I think part of the reason is why I had only ever seen certain types of sweaters, certain types of cardigans that just were not for, 12, 13, 14-year-old Chelsea. I was not gonna wear those at the time. So I just enjoyed doing the making. But then years went by. Grammy K stopped going to the shows because she couldn't move around as much. And I would still, when I'd go to visit her, maybe, she'd have some, oh, here, you want to pick this up and work on it with me? And, oh, okay, sure. But I didn't really touch my yarn for a long time. And then in 2014, I had a really bad depressive episode. I was living with my husband at the time. Well, I think he was still my boyfriend at the time. Oh no, if it was 2014, that's when we got married. Okay, maybe it was like 2013, because I think he was my fiance at the time. And I had a really bad depressive episode, and my mom happened to be cleaning out my childhood room, and she messaged me and said, hey, I found a bunch of stuff under your bed. Looks like your yarn stuff. Do you want me to throw it away? Do you want me to send it to you? I said, will you send it to me? Will you mail it to me? I was living in DC. She said, sure. So it arrived, and I opened it up, and I'm, looking at this stuff, and I thought, I'm just gonna try to cast something on, see if I remember how to do it. And it was genuinely muscle memory, like, okay, I know I wrapped it, and all of a sudden my hands were just doing it, like casting on. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, I don't know what it's doing, but here I go, I'm casting on. And I thought, okay, I'm just gonna make this long strip, and I'll seam it, and it'll be a cowl. That's what I thought in my head. So it took me a while, and it is still the jankiest looking cowl ever. But after about 2 hours, I had made this garter stitch cowl. And when I finished and I seamed it together and I put it on and I looked in the mirror, and I burst into tears because I had made something while I felt miserable, while I felt ugly, like inside ugly and sad and hopeless. I had made something beautiful. And for 2 hours, my head was not mean to me. My brain was not mean to me. I got lost in the rhythm of my needles. It was like a meditation. And I realized that had been the first time my brain had been quiet in so long. And I just became absolutely hooked. So for me, getting back into knitting was absolutely a mental health thing. I would say it saved me in a lot of ways. And Instagram was really just getting big in 2014, at least for me and my friends. We had just really discovered it. And I started finding accounts to follow that were yarny. And I saw the things that people were making. It was not my grandma's knitting. It was not my grandma's crochet. They were gorgeous. And Grammy K made beautiful things. I don't mean to say that, but her things had a very rustic, homespun, which is gorgeous, it just wasn't my style at the time, kind of quality. And I was seeing people make things that were lightweight and had drape to them and were just bright and colorful and young, and I was hooked. So that's how I got back into knitting especially. And then fast forward, I think it was 2017, 2018, I had been trying to remember crochet, but I really most of what I remembered about crochet was, okay, there's like single crochet, and then there's other stitches that are taller and you have to just wrap your yarn around different times. And there was a designer who put out a testing call for, it looked like a simple but gorgeous top. And I thought, I bet I can do it. I have no real crochet experience, but I bet I can figure it out. So I signed up for the test, and I YouTubed everything to figure it out. And I did. That was the Victoria top by Little Bird Big Life. I'll pop in a picture if I can remember. I'll also pop in a picture of that cowl if I remember, if I can find it. But yeah, I figured it out. That's why I design for the adventurous beginner. Nothing that I design is too hard. So if you have a can-do attitude and you have YouTubing skills, I feel like you can make most of my patterns. But yeah, I got back into knitting before crochet. Knitting to me is still more mental health. It's what I gravitate towards whenever I'm having a bad day. A selfish project or a simple project to get lost in the rhythm of the stitches. Crochet to me has now become more of a creative outlet. I still feel creative in knitting. I find it easier for shaping and different things to do crochet. So I do feel a little more creative in crochet, but there are still some amazing meditative crochet projects, both that I have designed and that others, and I love to make, that still hit those like mental health ticks for me. But yeah, that was my journey with knitting and crochet. I started designing in 2019. I think I started pattern testing in 2017 or 2018. I can't remember, whichever one. It was the same year that I did a couple of knit tests before I signed up for that crochet test, but I caught the testing bug and was testing everything. I always had at least one test going. And after I had tested and tested and tested many different projects, I finally thought maybe I'll design something. And my first design was the tan and tipsy top, which I released in 2019. So there's my yarnie journey. All right. So another kind of same path about my yarnie life question that was asked: what made me decide to pursue the yarnie life over my original life? If you didn't know, knitting Tipsy is my full-time job. Now I do want to put a little disclaimer. It's not a caveat or anything, but just so that you know, I never want people to feel badly, because I know I was one of those people like, how do they make it happen? You know, I want this kind of life, but I don't know if I'm going to make enough money. I don't. I don't make enough money if I needed to actually support myself or my family. I don't make enough money to do that. Every year is better, and I absolutely love what I do, but my husband's job is what supports us. Not to say I don't make money. I'm finally making a profit in my job, and like I said, each year is better. I have big dreams for knitting Tipsy. I just think it might take me a while to get there, and I am really lucky and really privileged in the sense that my husband supports this. He always jokes and says, once knitting Tipsy, I can be his sugar mama. He's gonna, take over the finances for a while, and then eventually I'll just be his sugar mama, which I believe could happen. I believe that. I'm gonna manifest it. But if you're wondering, like, how does Chelsea do it? I do it with a lot of help. I couldn't do this as my full-time job if I didn't have my husband and his support and the financial help for our family. Okay, but anyway, so what made me pursue this over other things? Well, you may be shocked that this foul-mouthed, rather risque human in front of you was once an elementary school teacher. How do I want to phrase it? I have a master's degree in teaching English to speakers of other languages. It's a master's of TESOL. And I kind of last minute decided to add on the K through 12 certification. I have always known that I don't want kids. I like children. I do. People are like, oh, people, they hate kids. No, I like kids, especially in structured environments where I have a lesson plan. I love kids. Love kids in that sense. But don't want to come home to them. But I did end up adding it on because I believe in public schools, and I believe in people that are coming here for a better life and that don't speak English. I love helping people to communicate and to live out their dreams. I'm definitely a helper to the point of being a people pleaser sometimes, but we won't go there right now. But definitely a helper, and because I do have a skill with languages, I enjoy especially helping people to learn other languages and find that I connect really well with people in that way. So I have taught both adults and children. I do still toy with maybe volunteering with adults in my community. I just haven't seen any real opportunities that work, and given my depression and my anxiety, I would feel bad kind of canceling classes, but it's still something that I might return to in the future. But when I lived in the DC area, I taught 3rd and 5th grade English as a second language, ESL. I loved it. My kids were absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed my time there, but it was also so draining, so scary, so heartbreaking. If you are a teacher, you have all of my respect and love, because I know how hard you work, and I know that you take your work home, and I know that you worry about those kids 24/7, and I know that you don't get respect, and I know that you don't get paid enough. And there's just so much wrong with our education system. I believe in the power of public schools and what they could be, but I also know that it's a disaster right now. The system is a disaster. And after several, we had situations where unsafe people were in the building, and we had to go into lockdown. And it's just so terrifying to be a teacher anymore. It really is. It is scary to be in a public school. And, having so many just heartbreaking situations with my kids and their home lives, and just not being able to help. And then the only thing that schools care about are test scores a lot of times. Even if you have a supportive administration, which I did, it's just test score. I could get on my soapbox and talk about it a lot. So when my husband and I decided we needed a change and we moved to Florida, I chose not to pursue another teaching job down here. My anxiety was really bad when we moved down, and I couldn't see myself getting back into a classroom. So I found instead an online virtual teaching position that was with VIP Kid, which was an amazing company and program. I loved working with them. I was hired in, I think, 2017 with them. And I was kind of at the beginning. They hadn't grown as large in popularity, so I had a really nice hourly wage. And I loved my kids. And I was booked every time I posted classes. I was booked. I was teaching children. Sorry, I'm assuming you know what VIP Kid is. It was an online program where students in China were taught by teachers from the United States and Canada English. So, I would get up every morning between 3 and 4 a.m. and I would teach until 9 or 10 a.m. Classes were 25 minutes long, and I formed so many amazing connections with the kids and their families. There were a couple times I'd be ready to start class, and my student's mom or dad would get on, and they're like, "Teacher, no class." Like, "Oh, okay, do you need to cancel?" And no. And they'd show me their child was at a dance recital, and she just wanted me to see it. So I'd get to watch a dance recital in China. Or one time my kids went to Disney World Shanghai and specifically scheduled a class just so that I could walk around the park with them on their iPad, and they could show me everything. And we practiced English. Another time during holidays, I'd be invited to different celebrations with the family. I knew grandparents. It was really awesome. And I would probably still be doing that if the company hadn't undergone massive changes. China had passed a law that Western teachers were no longer permitted to teach in after-school activities because they were really, I don't necessarily think, 20 minutes, y'all. We're already done with the first. And I'm still on my soapbox about teaching. All right, I am gonna put this project away. I got a few rows done on it, which makes me very happy. If you need to stand up and take a little stretch break, go ahead. I'll finish up my story about teaching with our next project. All right, I'm gonna get my next project ready and wrap up my story because I can talk for England. Anyways, they were trying to limit the amount of hours that kids were doing after school programs because the kids in China, man, their school days are long. And so basically I just was not able to teach anymore. VIP Kid is still around. They now work with other countries and they do things, but the pay really shifted and I just didn't like a lot of the new policies. So I stopped teaching in 2022 and decided to take Knitting Tipsy full time because I was now designing more regularly and just was loving my design life. And I was starting to grow like my subscriptions. I was doing IG subscriptions for a while and I was deciding to do a Patreon or a Ko-fi, which I now have a Ko-fi. It is available if you want to join us. And yeah, that's what made me switch over to the yarnie life. It was basically because my job ended and I was really enjoying the work that I was doing with Knitting Tipsy and felt like it was just the moment. It was the push that I needed to take it full time. Okay, so I will tell you this project that I am working on. Let me put the stitch markers back, or stitch stoppers, needle stoppers. Words are hard. Put it back on to show you. But this is my Teresa dress. This is a dress that I am doing for my series Magical Making on YouTube. It's where I combine my love of yarny things and witchy things and talk a lot about it on there and also discuss the modifications that I'm making. The Teresa dress is designed by Elizabeth Margaret Designs. It is an absolutely gorgeous dress, ethereal, so witchy in my opinion, sensual, full of the divine feminine, very high priestess energy. If you want to know more about that, I will pop a link to episode 1 of Magical Making. And while I work on this, because this is a very mindful project for me, I'm going to answer some questions about mental health and witchy things that y'all have asked. Okay, so with this dress, where I am right now, I am working on some shaping from the upper waist to the hips. And I do have, if you see me glancing over, I do have a little chart over here. The pattern is really simple. I just have to keep track of my rows while I'm doing it. Just want to double check. All right, I think I know what I'm doing. So I'm gonna go and set our timer for another 20 minutes. Are you ready? Here we go. All right, let me get the first couple stitches going on this dress. Oh, and if I didn't pop in a picture, let me go ahead and do that. So we're gonna be knitting these. Okay. All right. Feels weird. This is a DK weight yarn, and it just feels so heavy because everything that I've been working on lately has been fingering weight. And here we go. Yeah, I haven't touched this since the last Magical Making episode, so feels a little heavier for me. All right, so let me get to some questions about mental health and witchy things. Okay, tricks to dealing with anxiety and anxiety attacks. So I am not a mental health expert. I just always like to put that out there whenever I talk about these things. Most of what I will tell you is either things I've learned in therapy with my therapist or things that just work for me. So if they don't work for you, that's okay. I'm not telling you you have to do them by any means. And you should always, if you're experiencing a hard time, reach out for help if you're able, especially to a mental health care professional. So, all right, my best tips and tricks for dealing with anxiety. First of all, I think it's always a great idea to learn or to start to try to internalize that you can live an amazing life with anxiety. You are not broken. You don't need to be fixed. These are all thoughts that I used to have, something was wrong with me and, my life wouldn't be okay until I could fix these things and who would want to be with me and just many, many mean things that I would say to myself in my head because of my anxiety and the limitations that I felt because of my anxiety. But the truth is, you can live an amazing, happy life with anxiety and depression. Shocking, isn't it? You can also do hard things even with anxiety. And you can also be really gentle to yourself on the days where you choose not to do things because of anxiety. And all of those things are okay. So my first big tip and trick is just kind of being kind to yourself and not beating yourself up because you have a mental illness. If you have anxiety disorder, if you get anxiety attacks, if you get panic attacks, if you have social anxiety, there's so many different anxieties that fall under the umbrella, but you're not broken, you're okay. Okay, but I think we wrote specifically anxiety attacks. So for me, and this varies depending on the doctor that you talk to, the person that you talk to. But for me, anxiety attacks and panic attacks are two different things. I experience anxiety daily. I do not have panic attacks daily, thank God. To me, a panic attack is a sudden, terrifying episode. Sorry, my legs are getting stiff. And they manifest differently for different people. But for me, they often come out of the blue. They do sometimes happen whenever I'm experiencing something, that has my anxiety up. But more often than not, my panic attacks will happen whenever I'm just chilling, having a great time. It's often my body's release after something has happened, maybe earlier in the day before, even a week before, and it's just been building up in my body. But for me, my legs start to tingle, my lips start to tingle, I start to feel, my heart races, I start to feel very floaty and not quite in my body, which always triggers the panic. I now have techniques that I can do, but whenever, in the instances that I'm not able to, I hyperventilate, I scream sob, if that's a thing. They are terrifying, and I often feel bad for the people who witness them with me, because they're scary for everybody involved. I have passed out before whenever it's happened. It takes me, they usually don't last more than 5 minutes. But then my body is exhausted. I need a nap, or I need to be calm in a cool place. It's a lot. So that is a panic attack. And not everybody has all of those symptoms, but it is usually something that is sudden and very quick and short-lived. Anxiety attacks can be where I am decision paralysis most of the day. I'm on the verge of tears all day. Noises make me jump. Intrusive thoughts are in my head, or cyclical thoughts that I can't get rid of, negative thoughts. Those days I sometimes even think are worse than panic attacks because they're so much longer and they can be challenging to get out of. But my advice for when you are having an anxiety day is, number one, to do some grounding. Grounding practices, they can be witchy or they can just be mental health. But I'll give you guys some more, since this isn't one of my witchier episodes. I'll just give you from like the straight mental health perspective. But what grounding does is it gets you back into your body and reminds you that like you are safe. You are here in your body, you are present. It gets you to stop worrying. Often anxiety is about the future and things that are going to happen. It brings you to the present. It connects you with your environment, with nature is, I think, best. But, you know, it could be anywhere. It could be a room. It could be inside a car, anything. And my favorite grounding practice, because you can do it anywhere, is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are going to look for 5 things that you can see, and you're going to describe them in your brain. You could say them out loud if you need to. You can journal them, but you are going to, okay, so, you know, there's this Ola sign that I have. Can I take it off? Will it go back on later? This little Ola sign. You know, I can look at it and say it's blue. You know, if I want to bring some of my other senses, which you want 5 things that you can see, 4 things, trying to remember the order it goes. It doesn't really matter. You can use any of your senses for any of them, but 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can touch, 1 thing you could taste. You don't actually have to put it in your mouth. But yeah, so I might look at things and use the descriptive properties of the senses. So, you know, it's blue and it's curvy. It looks hard. If I touch it, you know, it's wooden, things like that. And then pick something else and describe it to yourself. Sounds, I can hear the wind through the trees, through the palm trees. It's a rustling, it's soft. I can hear an airplane high above me in the sky, the jet stream of it. I hear a bird chirping. You know, it's bringing you into your senses. I see my coffee. My coffee, it's sweet with a slight bitter undertone. There's vanilla in it. There's cinnamon. So you're describing all of these things to yourself, and it really does help you pull away from those anxious thoughts and to get more in the present. So grounding, that one's great. Another grounding exercise you can do is to physically go outside and put your toes in the grass and kind of do that same thing. You want the descriptive feeling, take some fresh air. You know, if you believe in energy practices or, you know, witchy things, you can do a visualization of growing roots into the ground and picturing your energy transferring between yourself and the ground and yourself. I love to do that one. That one's really, really helpful for me. You can do exercises involving light or water where you picture it cleansing yourself. I think Magical Making episode 2, I go in depth about how these grounding practices can be witchy. So if you want to check that out, you can. But grounding is really helpful. So are breathing exercises during anxiety attacks. A good one that you can do while you're knitting, it is box breathing, like a box. So let me get to the start of my round. Click, flip, purl. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna get into a slower rhythm with your hook or your needles. And now we're gonna inhale for 4, we're gonna hold for 4, we're gonna exhale for 4, and we're gonna hold for 4. So ready? I don't know if you saw my needles kind of sunk up like So you can do that with your stitches. I find it helps you kind of keep the beat. And breathing exercises really help to soothe your body. One of my favorite breathing exercises is to elongate my exhales. So I might breathe in, and each breath out, I try to elongate. That activates your parasympathetic system, which is the part that tells your body, like, we're not in danger, relax. And it does it with those exhales, the long exhales. I have a blog post. I do have this little contraption that I love using. I am an affiliate for them. I just want to throw that out there. But I always keep it in my purse. It's called Calmigo. It's a little breathing companion. It's drug-free. It's kind of a tactile way to remind you how to breathe whenever you are panicking or having anxiety. And it has little lights on it that light up. You take an inhale, and when you breathe out, you are trying to get the lights to go to the top. It will make you elongate each breath. It kind of encourages you to breathe out for longer to get the little light to go to the top. It also vibrates if you want it to vibrate whenever you hit that point where it's like, yes, you've held your breath long enough. It has a little smelly good. You can choose between lavender or peppermint, bergamot, so that whenever you're inhaling, you're breathing a really soothing aromatherapy scent. And it's not an inhaler by any means, but that's what it feels like a little emergency contraption for when I'm panicking that I can physically hold in my hands to help me. I got it at the start of my healing journey with my anxiety, and my therapist approved. She's like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So I ordered it, and it has truly helped me so much. These days, I can do those breathing exercises on my own. I'm to the point, I'm very proud of myself that when an emergency happens, I don't have to panic if I don't have that with me. I know what I'm supposed to do. I've practiced it enough that I can often do the breathing on my own. But sometimes I will still just pull it out, and it's a good 3 minutes a day just practicing with it. It's really good for whenever you're then in an anxiety episode. Practice makes perfect. So, yes, those are 2 tips, just 2 easy ones, grounding and breathing exercises that can really help with anxiety, and just remembering that you're not broken, you're okay. My God, can I talk? Just looked at our timer to see we have 5 minutes left. We're doing really good, by the way. And I didn't talk, well, I guess I talked a little bit about witchy things, but 2 other questions were, what is a witchy thing that I do every day, and how did I decide which witchy path was best for me? It just popped into my head. I'm like, oh, it's kind of the same thing. I got into this spiritual path and this witchy life, honestly, through tarot. My wonderful friend, Michael of Michael Sean, on his Instagram, he sent me my first ever tarot deck. And I first started using tarot as a therapy tool. I used them as journal prompts. And as somebody who's always loved English lit and comparative literature and just, finding the hidden meaning in things, the tarot and the journal prompts, as I call them, what the tarot cards might mean, really connected with me. And then the more I read about tarot, the more books I pulled up about tarot, the more research that I did, the more I saw a connection to the spiritual cravings that I had that I was not getting, that I couldn't find in religion. And I had friends that I knew were witchier, and I started reaching out to them. And just the more I learned about, energy and nature and the goddesses, and really, really felt a strong connection to divine feminine and feminine energy, I have a lot of anger in me at how women have been treated and are treated in society, and learning more about the witch trials. And, you know, these are horrible things that have been done to women in the past, and how women's voices and power and strength have been, you know, tried to be erased by, you know, patriarchal religions. And I just really found a connection with it through a lot of my anger. Anger was an emotion I was not allowed to experience growing up. So I'm getting in touch with my feminine rage now as a 36-year-old. And yeah, tarot got me on that path. I still do tarot almost every day. When I'm going through like depression and anxiety, sometimes it can be harder for me to pull cards. But I'd say I pull cards at least once a week. And there are significant chunks of time during, you know, the year where I'm pulling almost every day. I don't see tarot as, I don't really see it as like predicting the future. I think it can help us in the future, and it can, you know, warn us about energy and things that might be coming. But no, I don't think like, oh, there's going to be a dark man entering your path soon. I don't necessarily believe that. I know some people do, and that's fine. But I see tarot more as like, you know, oh, okay, here's the Four of Cups. And, you know, this is suggesting that maybe some meditation would help in my life. Is there a decision that I'm thinking about? Have I been spending a lot of time around people and I need some alone time? Am I, you know, worrying about certain things? And a lot of times when I pull that card, I'm like, oh, and I connect with it. And I think I was meant to pull this card for a reason. But I think any tarot card you can reflect on at some point in your life. You know, maybe it's not happening right now in the present, but you could be like, oh yeah, I was experiencing that like 3 weeks ago. And you can find a new realization about it that can positively benefit your mental health. So tarot is my witchy practice. That's how I got into it. I don't necessarily consider myself, like, I'm not pagan, I'm not Wiccan. I'm just on my own path. You don't have to pick. You don't have to pick a label for yourself. I do a lot of sea witchery because I live near the ocean. But, you know, I'm just kind of figuring out what works for myself. And I'm learning new things. I'm exploring things that maybe I'm like, I don't know if I quite believe in that, but I'm still exploring it and I'm learning more about it. And yeah, that is my path of witchcraft and my spiritual path that I'm on. And I really enjoy sharing it with you. I've had mostly a lot of support, but I have had some kind of shitty comments from people. And, you know, if you are religious, if you have a faith, that's amazing. I'm not telling you have to believe what I believe. I'm just sharing my experience. So that's what I have to say about the witchy shit. I think was there another witch question? I thought there was. Nope. All right, well, since we still have 15 seconds, I'm not going to answer another one. I was like, can I answer a quick one? But I'm going to finish up this row, and then we're going to move on to our final 20-minute segment. Let me get these last few stitches in. If you need to go ahead and grab a drink, I'm going to stand up and stretch. If you need, the garbage truck is here. You know what, we're gonna pause and wait for the garbage truck to leave. But yeah, go ahead and get yourself situated and I'll meet you back here. I'm not gonna lie, it took that truck forever to leave. It took like 10 minutes. So for me, this video is much longer than an hour. But for you, I hope you are ready for our final 20-minute segment. I will start the timer. Ready? It's also getting really fucking hot out here. Where's my timer? Okay. Can you hear that? What is that? Did the truck not leave? Screw it, let's do it. Okay, timer, go. 20 minutes of knitting. We've got this, or crocheting, or sewing, or whatever you're doing. So this project, y'all are getting a little sneaky peek. This is my 1 month dress challenge. I don't think I said at the beginning, I'm filming this on July the 26th. So this is a dress challenge that I am doing just for shits and giggles. I started it on July 1st. I'm attempting to make a maxi dress in 1 month. I'm using the Little Wolf Knits, her July countdown calendar. It's her Island Girl calendar, which is inspired by Moana and all of the scenes from it. So I'm gonna give you a little sneak peek. I am on colorway 25. This colorway is actually called I Am Moana. And look at it. Oh, it's pretty epic, right? It was supposed to be, I have a whole video I will also link down here. It's the intro video to this project. The inspiration behind it, we have left that inspiration a bit behind. I think I actually am going to make a second one of these, not as a dress challenge, but to get the dress that I had originally intended to create. I love what I'm making, don't get me wrong. I think this dress is going to be absolutely awesome. It's just not the dress that I set out to make. So I may, in the future here, make a second sample that is the dress I set out to make, because now I know what I did wrong. But given that I only had 31 days to create this dress, I was not gonna frog days and days of work to go back and fix it. So this dress kind of is it is what it is, and we're just rolling with it. We're just going with the flow, and I like that about it. It's really fun. So I will be posting whether or not I finish the dress on August 1st. If it's done, you'll get to see it. If it's not, you'll get to see the progress of it. But I think I'm gonna finish. Knock on wood. There's wood over here. So that is what I am working on now with Little Wolf Knits yarn. But let's get back to the questions. I am cackling because I absolutely thought like, oh, I'll answer a few questions and then we'll just have like music playing or something. But no, I talked your ear off. Proud of it. So the next questions are kind of a hodgepodge. We have some yarny questions, some boozy questions. If we don't get to all of these, that's fine too. I'm sorry if I don't answer your question on this video, but if you guys like it, if you enjoy sitting with me and knitting or crocheting while I just go on and on and on, let me know and I'll post more question boxes so that I can answer any queries you might have about my life. All right, so let's do some yarny shit, right? Which knit and crochet design am I most proud of? That's really hard. I am really proud of all of my designs for different reasons. And because the reasons are so different, I feel like I can't just choose one. My very first design, the tan and tipsy top, I'm so proud of myself for going for it. If you knew the anxiety that I had about putting my work out there, getting testers and putting my design out there, that was terrifying. My Palm Your Knits tee, that is my most popular design. It's an off-the-shoulder t-shirt. I'll put pictures here of the tan and tipsy top and the Palm Your Knits. That's my most popular design. Again, it was another, every design I put out, I'm scared. Every design I put out, I have anxiety. I worry if people are gonna like it. I worry that somehow maybe I messed up still, like still maybe something's wrong. I worry that people are gonna think they're too simple or they're not, beautiful enough. But I'm working on that. Those are me issues. Those are all in my brain trying to be mean to me. My big criteria for putting out a design is, do I like it? Do I want to wear it? Then I'm gonna maybe put out a pattern for it and see if other people want to. My designs are not for everyone. They're very booby. They're, summery. They're often a little risque in certain ways. they're also designed very simply. So if those things don't appeal to you, then you're not gonna like my designs, and that's okay. That's okay. I don't like every design that's out there. I think even designs that I think are like objectively beautiful, I know I won't wear them because of certain, like they have can't take high necks. I feel like I'm choking. And, you know, so there's just certain things that make me not want to make a pattern, but I can still think they're beautiful. There's some designs that maybe I don't think are beautiful, but I think they might be beautiful for someone else. So that's the beauty of our art. I'm really proud of my first bathing suit pattern that I put out. Again, very simple. It was the basic stitch bikini, but I sat in a Target. They didn't have the dressing rooms open because it was COVID-y. But I can remember going and sitting with my friend, Nikki. Oh, it was right before COVID, wasn't it? Yeah, it was like February because I was running a marathon right before the half marathon, right before COVID hit. And my friend Nikki and I sat in Target on the ground. Why were the dressing rooms closed then? I don't know. Measuring crotch gussets. We sat there and picked sizes from extra small up to, I think the biggest size that I could find was like a size 22. Just measuring crotch gussets to see like what, because there's no information out there. There's no information about how wide a crotch gusset should be for different body types. You might find it for the smaller body types, maybe. But like, you know, like incrementally, how wide should it get? That's not on the Craft Yarn Council guidelines, you know. What percentage ass should be covered in a, you know, in a modest bikini, in a skimpy bikini? There's no information on that, none. So I had to figure shit out for myself, and I was really proud of myself that I decided to go for it. I did hit play on this timer, right? Yes, okay. I'm proud of myself that I decided to go for it. So for a variety of reasons, maybe those designs, but if you asked me any one of them, I could tell you how proud I am. My Boobiful bralette, it was tested up to J cups. And, you know, I'd say that's something that I'm really proud of about all of my patterns, is that I have an amazing community, y'all that are in my community. I'm so grateful that you support me and encourage me, but I'm really grateful to those of you who make my patterns and to those of you who test my patterns, because my main goal is to make you feel good in your body. There's nothing wrong with your body. There's a lot wrong with clothes out there, but being able to make something that makes you feel beautiful and that makes you feel sexy and comfortable, that is my goal. And I can't do that if I don't have different body types and people of different sizes testing and making my patterns. So one of my favorite things when I'm doing a pattern release is to show off my testers and to show off how kick-ass they look in their samples of my designs, and to put those pictures up on Ravelry and up on my website so that when you go to buy my pattern prior to purchasing, you can, you know, maybe find someone whose body type looks like yours. Because I've had a lot of people, oh, I couldn't wear that, you know, I couldn't wear that bikini because of X, Y, and Z about my body. And I want to be like, no, look how hot she looks. She looks just like you. Look how hot she looks. So that's kind of something I'm really proud about with my patterns too. So if you ever make one of my patterns, please tag me. You can also email me photos. I love it when people do that, and I put them into a folder so that, you know, if I'm re-promoting patterns, I can showcase other people who have made them. I always love to see your work and love to know that you love my designs. So there's my answer for that. I kind of cheated, but I'm sticking to it. All right. Do I have any failed designs that haven't worked out? Oh yeah, quite a few. I have things that just I scrapped entirely, and then I have things that are still waiting in timeout. Notably, right now in timeout are two designs that I still wanna get back to. right now is not the time. There's a lot going on in my life with my dog and my mental health because of that. So I'm not forcing myself to do things that I don't want to do, that are really hard for me, because life is hard enough and I'm not making it harder on myself. But the two designs are my Palm Beach pullover. It is a long sleeved, and I know so many people were so excited about it. It's knit, and it's a long sleeved pullover pattern, V-neck with a hood. It had, for years now, this has been years in the making. It's given me a lot of grief, and I finally put it in a timeout box. I do have some ideas for fixing it. I think we're scrapping the hood for one. I don't think I want it anymore. That was a lot of the issue. And I think I might frog the entire fucking thing. It's done. Like, that's the sad part. It's done. And the top is like 15 inches of ease, so it was a lot of knitting. It was a lot of knitting. And I'm like, that's okay. I want to make something that I like even better. So I've thought of a new construction technique for getting the V-neck that I want, and for other people to be able to control some things about their V-neck, because not everybody likes to have all of their décolletage out like me. And that's okay. If that doesn't make you feel beautiful and sexy and wonderful, then don't do it. Don't wear things that don't make you feel beautiful and sexy and wonderful. But I think I've thought of a better way, an easier way, a more surefire way to control the depth of the V. So yeah, it might be getting frogged at some point and reworked. But I think that'll be good. Oh wait, shit, hang on. I've done this new, it's new to me, but for joining my ends, it's actually knitting with the strand that you held prior and your new strand together for a few stitches. And I just always have to make sure that I don't knit those stitches individually. You have to knit them the next round as one. But I love it. You can't even tell. And then I'll just be going back and gently weaving in the ends, but it's really secure. I'm very excited about it. Especially in like this with the colors, like how they're variegated and they blend. You can't see, but it's a great technique. Maybe I'll make a reel for it. There's tons of reels out there about it already. We'll see. Okay. So yeah, that is a design that is in timeout. Another design that is in timeout that I do want to revisit is my Las Olas crochet set. I'll pop in a picture. It's going to be a YouTube tutorial pattern. It's going to be free $3.99. The top is filmed and it's great. The skirt ran into some issues. No issues with me. I now have 2 samples. It's issues in figuring out how to clearly explain what needs to happen instead of just saying, oh yeah, sometimes that happens and you just fix it. That's not a good pattern. That's not helpful for anyone. So I have to figure out, and I think it's going to be something so easy. I was really going through a bad depressive bout when I was filming, and that's what I'm hoping, is that whenever I come to it with a new set of eyes and I look at it, I'm like, oh, this actually was very simple. I just couldn't see it through the depression fog. Fingers crossed. But yeah, that probably will be coming next March, like this coming March. We're in July, so it's a ways off. But I'm thinking it's a next year kind of thing, which is okay. There's just so much that I want to do at the end of this year, and I'm not making myself go back to things right now that feel challenging. I'm challenging myself in other ways. So yes, those are 2 quote unquote fail. They're not really failed designs though, they're just in timeout. But yes, I've had other things that I've tried and I was like, this isn't gonna work, and I just scrap it. But maybe I learn something new and I keep little parts of that for next time, which is fun. All right, we did 2 yarny things. Let's do a boozy one. I'm like, what time is it? Is it almost time for booze? It's 5 o'clock somewhere, y'all. Might make a cocktail at the end of this. Okay, the question was my top 5 drinks. This was the first answer when I asked, hey, does anybody have any questions for me? This was the first question that was asked, and it made me happy. And I did think about it a little bit. I could tell you different recipes and stuff, but instead, I'm gonna give you my top 5 drinks in different situations. So my top drink for different situations. First of all, if I'm at a bar, and I'm not talking like a fancy bar, I'm talking like a bar, like a dive bar, or any of the bars in my hometown. Back in the beeve, you are not ordering anything fancy there. My go-to drink, you know, it's a concert, it's something else, is gonna be Jameson and ginger ale. I order Jamie Ginger, and I always get exactly what I want. You can't really fuck up a Jameson and ginger ale. If it has too much Jameson, that's okay, I like Jameson. If it has too much ginger ale, I won't be getting as drunk, and I love the taste of ginger ale. There's just really no way to screw it up. So it is a go-to. It makes me happy. I could also order a rum and Coke and feel very confident that I'm gonna get something that I like. Although, I have had some that I'm like, there's just something off about it. Don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the vibes. Maybe it's just the energy. But I've never had that problem with the Jameson and ginger. Jamie Ginger, Jameson in general, has never done me dirty. It always loves me. I'm actually gonna take my hair down. I didn't use a hair tie. My hair's long enough, I can just tie it in a knot, but it is starting to slip. And I'm feeling cooler, so we'll take the hair down. Okay, so that is my bar drink. Now, my fancy bar drink. Probably my actual favorite drink. So if I'm at a nice bar or if I'm at home, I can also make this, but an old fashioned. I'm mostly good with many different types of bourbon for it. My go-to at home, is Jim Beam. I like a little Jim, do the orange, some aromatic bitters. I like fancy bitters too, like orange bitters or walnut bitters. So good. I use brown sugar if I have it. My husband for Christmas one year made me old-fashioned smokers. So they go on top of the glass and you can put different types of wood in there, cherry or different things, and then you light it on fire and it infuses your drink with smoke. He's amazing. He made them himself. Like, he's pretty awesome. But yeah, that's one of my favorite drinks, is an old fashioned. So we have those two. My favorite non-liquor drink, definitely wine. In particular, because I consider wine to have 3 categories: white, red, and bubbles. My favorite red wine, that's hard. I love red wine. For pizza night, my husband and I always have a bottle of Pinot Noir. We are club members at Cooper's Hawk Winery, so once a month we head over to that restaurant and we do wine tastings, and we get our 2 bottles that we get sent home with each month. And unless something really struck our fancy, one of them is always a Pinot Noir for pizza night. I just think that the Cooper's Hawk Pinot Noir goes with pizza perfectly. But I like other Pinot Noirs too. When I lived in the DC area, I lived for a Cab Franc. It's spicy and peppery, and it grew really well in Virginia when we went to the Virginia wineries. So really loved a good Cabernet Franc. White wine. Oh, I do know my favorite, Vouvray. That is a type of Chenin Blanc. Well, it's from the Vouvray region in France, but it is from the Chenin Blanc grape. But Vouvray, I'm not usually a sweet wine drinker, but it is a little on the sweet side. Not like a Riesling, a sweet Riesling, and it's got like a little bit of sweetness. Now, depending on the Vouvray that you get, you can get them sweeter or more dry, but I love it. It is the perfect easy sipping summer wine. Here in Florida, we have ABC Fine Wine and Liquor. And I love my liquor store. They know me by name. But Emile is our sommelier. He helps, you know, choose the bottles and puts his picks up on little signs. Another 20 minutes gone, and I didn't finish my drinks. Well, you're getting a bonus because I can't leave you and not finish the drinks. But yes, he introduced me to some really good Vouvrays. So I love that. And then for bubbles, a really good quality, inexpensive, I don't know if it's Freshenet. It is a Spanish cava. It comes in a black bottle. It is a brut and very dry in the sense like not sweet, not like a dry champagne, but it's brut and it is delicious. My favorite fancy bubbles is Veuve Clicquot, the Widow Clicquot. Fascinating history about that woman if you ever want to look it up, but that would be my favorite fancy bubbles. 2 more categories and then I'll stop talking, I promise. Favorite beachy drink. Okay. Favorite beachy drink. Ooh, that's tough. I do love a pina colada, but it can be, and if somebody else is making it for me, or if I have like I have all the ingredients at my house and I'm planning on it, that's fine. But it can just be a lot to make because I don't make mine with the mix. I mean, there are some good pina colada mixes out there, but I have a recipe for mine. If you sign up for my email list, you will get my pina colada recipe as a freebie. But it just, you know, there's a lot of things involved that go into the blender, and then you got to clean the blender and all of that stuff. So especially like at a beach bar, I do like to grab a pina colada. But one of my other favorite beachy drinks is a paloma. It has grapefruit juice and lime juice and tequila and salt, and it's just lovely. A little easier to make and refreshing, but a good time. All right, last category. Why can't I remember what I had been thinking of? Oh. A drink that'll get me in trouble that I love. Fucking dirty, filthy dirty martini. I love it with blue cheese stuffed olives. That tastes like trouble. That tastes like I'm in for a hangover, but I'm probably gonna have a good story at the end of it. I love it. My mom drank dirty martinis growing up, and you know, once I was able to drink with her, you know, I'd sample, and I was just like, oh man, there is something about this. Like, you just feel like a bad bitch. You feel like a bad bitch, and it's a bit of a meal in a glass if you get it with the blue cheese stuffed olives. And yeah, I have had nights where I did not get into shenanigans, but I will say, probably more often than not, when you see me with a dirty martini in hand, shenanigans are gonna ensue. So there you go, my top 5 favorite drinks. All right, y'all, well, we did it. Please let me know, is this type of video something that you'd like to see again? I can put on some soothing music and we can just knit or crochet together. Is this something you were like, this was just too much for me? Let me know in the comments, because I want to make things that you want to watch. And this was fun for me, just to chat at y'all. Please feel free, if you have any connections to any of these things, let me know in the comments. If there's anything that you'd like me to elaborate more about, like maybe create a separate video about, or just questions that you might have, please let me know as well. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you got lots of yarning done today. You had the possibility to get up to 60 minutes of yarning done. So I hope that that was fun for you. I hope it kept you on task. Please, please, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm getting really, really close. And if you think a friend might like this, please go ahead and share it with them. Thank you so much for watching, y'all. See you next week.